Okay, folks, welcome everybody. It is 6:59 here on Tuesday evening, February the 11th, 2025. This is the regular meeting of the Meyersdale Borough Council. We'll start first with the flag ceremony, and then our prayer will follow with Olivia Baker. So here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, please be with us here tonight as we discuss and make decisions regarding our town. May you bless all of us who attend tonight and keep us in your will and provide us all with safe travels home. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Olivia. Patty, the roll call, please.
Mr. Ackerman. Here. Mr. Bear is absent. Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Nagy is going to be late. Mr. Irwin.
Here.
Mrs. Canarium. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Solicitor Valentine. Here. Mayor Smith is absent. Tim Fritz.
Here.
And Brian Reiber.
Here. Okay, Clarence Fair texted Eric, and he had an accident. He fell before the meeting tonight, so prayers for him. He was over in the Somerset emergency room, and Mayor Shane is under the weather. He won't be here, so we may be pushing a few things back to March as far as cameras or new things for the police department. So with that in mind, we have two sets of minutes to approve. Our regular meeting was January the 14th, and we had a special meeting on January the 27th. That meeting was primarily involving the community center repairs. So as soon as we approve them tonight, Patty will probably put them on our website tomorrow, and you'll be able to view everything that was done. I had read through everything and could find no questions or concerns, but how about a discussion? And if there is no discussion, maybe a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
I make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Okay, Ron and Tom, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Finances, Mr. Baker.
Okay, in the general fund, as of tonight, we have $10,392.65 and bills that need approved in the amount of $7,120.58. I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
Thank you, Terry, and a second. Ginny, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
And then also, there's a couple other things under finance. We were supposed to have a guest from the Keystone Tax Service and a lady to go over the audit, but because of the weather, they canceled, so they won't be here. And then one other thing, we had talked about at the committee meetings last week, a donation to the fire company this year, I think in the amount of $10,000. If the council approves that tonight, looking over what's in our general fund, I was thinking maybe if we do like 5,000 now, and then when the taxes start rolling in, do the next 5,000 in 6 months maybe.
Sounds like a good idea.
Because I mean, we put all that money, instead of drawing it out of the money market CDs, we're making interest on that. So why don't we keep it in there and then just, pay the second half later on.
Sounds good. Could we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Tom and Ginny seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. It might be said that this is a one-time donation, and I think the firemen had some water damage and they had some unexpected expenses. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but if you have any other information, just look at the committee meeting, which we had on Thursday night. So very good, Terry.
That should be it, Jeff.
Okay. Susie Decker and Dr. Gray indicated that they aren't coming, so we'll open it up for public comment. Public comment. Come up here to the, give us your name and just come right up to you have 5 minutes.
I'm Deborah Fisher. I own the Levi Deal Mansion on Mears Avenue, and thank you for letting me speak. My business is all about rest and respite. So people come off the trail and they come to our town to take a rest. So, And according to the economic impact study from 2020 that the Gap Trail did, the average overnight guest spends $496 a night on their trip throughout the Gap. So that's a lot of money. I have 3 dogs. I have lots of dogs within my earshot, but I have 3 dogs that are 100% left outside to live. They're 2 Great Pyrenees and a medium-sized terrier mix. I have personally caught and retrieved them and brought both of them home, which I'm kind of regretting now. But anyways, they've been out of the fence a couple times. But this situation with the dogs has been going on approximately 3 years. I don't know exactly how long, but if we want to say 2.5, doesn't matter. It's been a long time. I personally have written a letter to the homeowner. I've met with the homeowner. I had a brief agreement with the woman who lived there to text her when it got late and wanted the dogs to quiet down. And she was amenable to that. And we did that for a little while. Then she left. And since then, it's been, I think, just a single guy living there, maybe with some other folks, I'm not sure. But they leave the dogs out all day, all night, all weather, all, heat, sun, ice, rain, it doesn't matter. I personally have called the Somerset and Allegheny Humane Society. I've called the Somerset Animal Control. I've called local police. I've called state police. I've attended borough council meetings. I filed a complaint with the borough office. I've had local police visit them 3 or 4 times. And I've texted anybody who I had their phone number, as you know. And pretty much the consensus is that the onus goes back to local police. Like state police say local police, animal control says local police, 911 local police. In addition to the dogs barking day and night, their backyard over the last 2 summers, and they cut their grass 2 times all summer. And I know a lot of us didn't cut our grass a ton this year because of the drought, but I mean, their grass was like this high all summer. They have minimum of 3, sometimes 5, look like abandoned vehicles in their backyard. They've got one of those ski runner thingies back there. Lots of tractors, so if any of you are interested in picking up a tractor, lots of those, and furniture and junk and things like that. And in 8 years, I have a monthly pest control service on my house for the guests. I've never had really any pests. And this year I had, how big was that rat that you pulled out of there? Big. Whopper. I had a rat in my house, and I have rat boxes outside my house, which is super attractive. And so between and I'm not joking. I have the moose in my backyard for 8 years. I have never complained once about the moose making noise. They're good neighbors. I mean, frankly, they don't want my guests to park in their parking lot, and my guests don't park in their parking lot. I don't want their stuff coming in my house. Their stuff doesn't come in my house. It's a symbiotic relationship. These guys who live in this house they're scofflaws. They don't care about whether or not they've got a neighbor. They don't care whether or not we've got guests. They don't care whether or not it's a paying customer. And I'm at my wit's end, and I don't know what to do about trying to get them to either bring their dogs in. So when you guys come out and visit, or the police, right? Yes. When you guys come out and visit, they keep them in like a day or 2. And then they're like, yep, nobody's coming out. And I don't know if they're getting fined. I don't care. I don't want, I really don't want anything even bad to happen to them. And I love dogs, but I find myself thinking of all these horrible things in the middle of the night, like, ooh, a steak with whatever sprinkled on it. So anyways, yeah, that's really all I have to say. I just need help with the situation. So thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Deb, I think our police chief is going to respond.
Okay.
You have some things, is that right, Jenny, you want to say?
Yeah, when you get told that it's a local police problem, when we're not here, the state police covers. The dog animal control, I don't even know what they do, so I couldn't tell you why they would even say that.
It's just everybody does this.
Yes, but I have researched
Me too.
Title III, which falls under the agriculture thing. Alls I can find is rabies, dog licensure, it covers things like that. Then I go to Title 75. I thought about getting them under disorderly conduct. That doesn't apply because it's more or less for a person making unreasonable noise, things like that. And then this is just so you, I didn't think I forgot about you.
I know.
Then I go to,
The only thing I found is the noise ordinance, because the barking dog ordinance was rescinded in 86, 80,
yeah,
96.
I'm getting there. But anyhow, I went under 5517 of Title 18, which talks about animals, but it goes into animal cruelty, animal neglect.
And they could be, you know, depending on who you are.
Right.
I don't leave my dog outside when it's 20 below. They leave their dogs outside when it's 20 below.
I'm addressing the barking dogs. That's until you said about the cars, and that's the first I've heard about that, honestly.
Okay.
But like I said, I went under the animal cruelty, you know, the tethering and the different things. Nothing there really apply. And then what you were just getting into, I have read, not verbatim, but I have read about every ordinance we have. And I'm like you, when I get to the noise ordinance and they talk about the noise, bear with me.
Below 6 a.m. and past 10 p.m.
Yeah, but then the problem is when you get to the noise ordinance, when they define noise, it says any sound emitted by a person, appliance, equipment, instrument, other devices, or animal other than a barking dog.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so it says right there, other than a barking dog. And then when you go back to the next one, and like I said, I tried to find more on this for you because I do bleed for you. I understand. But when I go back under it, when it goes under the section under 3 and it says animal and bird noises, they said with the exceptions of dogs. And
So would you be able to find a law that locked me up if I poisoned those dogs?
yeah, we were not that one there. I can find out
Just
the
checking,
animal cruelty
just
one he
checking.
did. Yeah,
Just
yeah,
checking.
that would fall under animal cruelty. But
If
there
I
again,
shot them with a gun in their head from my window, nobody knew it?
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
this
since
is,
you pretty well admitted it now.
I don't have a gun and I'm an idiot, so.
But
no.
I mean, I have looked for this,
I mean, this is,
regulated set other ordinances, and I can't find anything.
So my question, if I may, that's our ordinance. And that might have been in play because we had the dog barking ordinance that was rescinded. So why can't we just update this to say, including barking dogs?
And I gotta tell you, I struggle with those ordinances, period, because this comes down to nuisance. And
Yes,
nuisance
it
is
does.
anything that crosses a property line,
yes.
that interferes with your use and enjoyment. The rats are a nuisance, the sound is a nuisance,
The rats I can do something about.
all of that is a nuisance. Now, I will tell you, part of what,
Doves and bats and rats.
yeah.
Since we tore
sounds
down
like a bad
buildings,
song.
doves and bats and rats.
Yeah, I have an ordinance for that.
Well, I have a house full of bats.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, got 2 out today
I got you.
in the middle of
Do
winter.
you make John get these out?
No,
Yes.
well,
That would
sometimes,
give me
yes.
semi-enjoyment today.
Sometimes he does, yes.
Okay.
Today he didn't get them out.
I get you. But it all comes down to nuisance. So part of what you brought up and complained of, and I don't mean that negatively, but you had to turn in, part of that's already being addressed because some of the stuff in the backyard deals with ordinances that are in play that prohibit that. So part of that's already rolling. Now the dog barking and even the rats would fall into that, with the vectors. The part that is a little bit more difficult, but is different to deal with and really doesn't take a change in an ordinance, but there's a question, it is public nuisance. So there's a common law, theory of nuisance. And it's going to come down to whether or not it's a private or public nuisance. And I'd have to look into this in this case because private nuisance is when it affects a limited amount of landowners. Public nuisance is when it affects either more landowners or violates other ordinances. To me, without looking at it, I would think it might verge upon public nuisance because, our neighbors, where the house is located, et cetera. But either way, nuisance is the way to handle a lot of that because most of your dog barking and noise ordinances are very subjective. And people will say that's loud, it's not loud. You'll get into all these arguments, well, my dogs weren't barking at 2 a.m. Nuisance is anytime during the day, is that interfering with your business? Your business deals with people staying, trying to sleep, trying to relax. So it doesn't take a lot to imagine that interferes. And it speaks a lot, not to get too far afield, but it speaks a lot. This is nothing against the Moose or anything the Moose does, but that there is a very active establishment next door that gets, a lot of people at times. And yet that doesn't impact. And you think about it though, because they're usually not noisy
I
outside.
had somebody crash into the garage once, but that was a fluke.
I get that.
But other than that, no. Nothing.
But that constant, consistent dog barking, yeah.
I mean, we could take a field trip right now and go listen.
No, I'm good. I believe you on that, yeah. I mean, so what I would say, and the council would have to decide, is whether or not you want me to look into if that's a public or private nuisance,
Mark, I would like to suggest that to move this along a little bit, that yes, if that's your suggestion, you do that, and maybe give a report at the March meeting, put that top shelf. Debbie, if you'd like to come back at the March meeting. I know I share Deb's frustrations. We've gone back and forth. We've had three-way text with the mayor and Deb and myself, and it's one of these situations. And I know I would compare it in one sense to feral cats. I've had a problem out at my office there, not so much now, but they were every place. Neighbors would feed these cats in the borough, and cats don't bark, but it was a real problem with on your porch and things like that, not safe. So thank you for coming. I know you were hesitant to come. I kind of cajoled her into coming again and speaking, and thank you for coming. And I would urge you to come back. Well, I'll have Patty put you on the agenda, top shelf in March, and then let's see what Mark has to say. Are you satisfied so far?
I appreciate you listening, yes.
Okay.
I just
Thank
would like
you.
to think we didn't forget about you. And I have reached out to other police departments just to get a feel for what they do. And they're in the same predicament we are. They're like,
I don't think that
Yeah.
at all. I think it's.
yeah, we respond when you call, and I apologize. That's the best we can do right now until we get something that puts a little teeth to it that we can,
We left this go a little bit over the normal time because this has been an ongoing situation. And again, I invited Deb to come and speak here. So with that in mind, public comment, it's still going. Anybody can speak 5 minutes, but we went over there, but 5 minutes.
Maybe just brought to my attention, we do have an ordinance about dogs pooping. So why can't there be an ordinance about them barking?
I'm no
I'm a
lawyer.
picker upper, by the way. I carry
Me
bags
too.
with my dog.
We clean up after ours and we go, right, Eric?
We have signs, we
Fences
have,
everywhere,
yeah.
whatever, that's such an important situation.
Doing, that could be like a sanitary thing as far as the bacteria and things. I'm just guessing. I'm not an attorney. But, okay. Any other public comment? Last chance saloon. Alrighty. The president's report. The only thing I would say is we just had an election in November. Those of us that are right of center were pleased. Now we have another election coming up this November, and we have 3 borough council positions that are up for election. And the mayor, Shane, told me tonight he positively does not want to run again. So that position is going to be open. So I'm going to give you a few dates here if anybody would be interested. February 5th, we missed that. You can pick up your petitions at the borough office. Anybody interested in, you live in the borough?
Not at the borough office.
I'm sorry, at the election board. I'm sorry. Thank you, Patty. They'll be coming. February 18th, you can start circulating these petitions. March 11th would be the last day to circulate. And then the primary is going to be on May 20th. And the general election is November 4th. And those are just for anybody watching or your information. And if you decide you don't want to do any of this, you can just do a write-in and show up the day of the election in November. And if you get enough votes, you'll be elected. So I just thought I'd mention that as my president's report. The mayor's not here, so where are we at here? Junior council report.
Okay, so last Friday was district chorus at Berlin, and here are the students that went for that. Kylie Hare, Mallory Emmerich, Rain Stavanis, Destiny Manuel, Ryan Seckler, Jimmy Kretschmann, Aiden Mossholder, and Christian Nave. February 7th was the girls' basketball senior night, which was at 5 p.m., and Jessica Doughton was recognized. Tonight is the wrestling senior night, which was at 7, and Joey Comfort is being recognized. February 13th and 15th is the WVU Honor Band, which includes Christian Nave and Mallory Emmerich. February 13th is the FBLA Carnation Delivery. February 17th to the 21st is National FFA Week, and February 27th is the Camp Cadet presentation. That's all I got.
The WVU band, is that, they're going to be down to Morgantown and perform? That's pretty neat. Very good. Any questions for Olivia? Okay, thank you very much. I will announce at this point, we do need an executive session. There's a number of items on the list. Personnel issues, property damage, possible litigation. So we have about 6 items to discuss. It is possible that there could be votes and decisions made after the executive session, but before we adjourn. So with that in mind, I'll turn it over to our solicitor, Mark.
So the Alaska deeds, Jeff signed those deeds tonight, so they're ready to be recorded and distributed then to the landowners. That matter will be then put to bed this week. On the community center, I sent the contract to DAR, and just so you guys, if you want to know the steps that are involved, the first step is they sign the initial contract so that I can work with Patty to get that turned into the federal government reported because of the funds that are involved. But as soon as they sign the contract, they've agreed that they're going to meet with Karen and Tom to talk about the change orders and also what exactly, in detail we need to do. They seem very open-minded to that and very eager to do anything. So that should be good. The pressure test, I sent the letter to DEP. I haven't received a response on that for this building yet. It'll probably take a little bit of time because that is slightly unusual for them, but they will respond. I did receive a phone call from Dave Flower today, and I don't know if I'm running behind or not, but he talked as though Salisbury was taking like proactive steps to employ the borough for their police. And have we voted that we're doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all been taken care of. Again, Shane was going to report on that.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait till March.
I just want to make sure it was all. Yeah, we weren't getting too far in front of that. Okay. So what my understanding is they have advertised their ordinance. I don't know why they're putting a new ordinance in play because their old ordinance would still be good. But they're advertising to pass a new ordinance to allow for those police services. And they're going to engage in the same. It's a very similar contract with the additions that have been made. So hopefully next month we should be able to vote on that and finalize the contract. We're going to talk about the Uptown Park in executive session. I believe it is Tom, Ron, and I can't remember if it's Terry, whoever's on the streets committee. I think it's Terry, isn't it? We're going to be meeting by Zoom with PennDOT here at the end of the month. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. My plan is to come here, and those that want to be here, that group, to do that, we can be on Zoom. It's actually at Teams, but still same kind of platform to figure out what we can do. In talking with PennDOT and Senator Stefano's office, the goal is to try to understand what they can do to help us and how we can take care of the issue. And then we're going to approach the other landowners that are involved to make sure we're all on the same page, because that wall covers, I think, 3 properties altogether. So hopefully we can get that rectified and then move that property forward. H&R Paving has been slightly obstinate, and they're in-house, I think it's in-house counsel, has not agreed yet to bend or break, but I've been fairly stern, so I'll report on that next month. I wouldn't give in yet. I'm hopeful that we can settle that for what amount you've already offered, because quite frankly, if we went to the magistrate, they'll spend that, trying to deal with it. So I'm hopeful that's going to settle. The High Street Bridge, we got the report from Eads. It's not in great shape. It's not as horrific shape as what it was maybe supposed to be or believed to be. But that being said, PennDOT is asking for corrective actions to be done. Those have been given to CSX. We're starting to get some movement, albeit slow, from CSX, and I'm hopeful that'll get rectified here. It's going to have to be put out to bid, I'm sure, by CSX and completely redone the way it sounds, so if not replaced. Already covered the barking dogs. The riprap, and I know I wasn't here for the committee meeting, but with regards to the riprap, the only reason I sent out that email is we have, on one hand, you guys got that grant, which is great, but I know that Terry's been working with the Army Corps on funds, and there is a possibility that some of those funds could merge with a matching fund standpoint. We just want to make sure that you can get as much out of that as possible. So I don't know, and Terry might know better, but it probably wouldn't be a bad idea if we would give notice to the Army Corps, whoever you're dealing with, that we have received that grant, so that, because they'll know right off. They're really good. I'm dealing with them right now in the MMA for the authority, and they've been nothing but helpful and very, actually probably one of the easiest federal agencies I've ever worked with, which might not say that much, but they're better than most. Let's see. That's good. Oh, the ATV, now that the weather, I'm not going to say it's breaking because I know it looks really great outside, but as the weather begins to get better in our illustrious county, we do need to get those signs up. We are slightly behind, and I know you only have so much time, but we are slightly behind what they want, okay, / require. So we ought to try to get those up, as the weather hopefully turns nicer into April, just because there's going to be more flow. And in case we would have an incident where somebody it would be better for that to be defined. I'm not even going to look at the police when I say that. The job descriptions, as you know, the union, they're willing to reschedule to this upcoming committee meeting. I need to distribute to you what they're proposing, which isn't really very much. It's not much of a change or addition. In that, they are willing to talk about, and I know it's on the agenda tonight, if there's any additional, whether it be the holiday stuff or whatever, they're open to those discussions. So, and I think that's it.
Salisbury Street.
I'm waiting for a hearing date. So we got that ready. I've been working with Steve Spokart because they're under constraints what they can give money for. And the judge is slightly reluctant because we're not the usual conservator for a property like that. And I think I have Steve convinced. The county hasn't voted on it, so it doesn't mean it's final, but I think I have Steve on our team with doing it the way we're doing it as a conservator, that they can still pay to tear it down versus us bearing the cost. So I'm hopeful that'll be good and we can get that down very soon.
Quick question, Mark.
Maybe.
Those ATV signs, they're for everywhere in town other than Grant and Maine, correct?
They are we gave every borough, avenue, and street, some of the alleys. I can get you the list.
If you would.
Yeah, I'll get you the list, and it's
any
everywhere they
state
intersect
road you have to have on either side. You don't need any on Salisbury Street, except maybe where it cuts across Grant Street. Thomas Street, you wouldn't need any. Sherman Street, but all the alleys coming down, the avenues, I guess you'd say, where it intersects Beakley Street, Main Street,
Anywhere.
not Center Street,
Yeah,
going out of
Any
town,
PennDOT.
Lower Broadway,
I'll
that's
get
a
you the
state
list.
road. All those places will have to have.
What are the
Cherry
signs?
Street,
It says N. What are those?
end for the.
It just says. N.
I have to look on that because I'm not familiar with what the
We got a
end.
stack of
End
those.
is meant for the trail purpose. I don't know that I requested end, but
We got a stack.
maybe they're
of
giving me a
them. It's
hint
like,
that I need to end.
What are all
Yeah.
these signs, what are all these signs end? It's just
Yeah.
they're green and it says.
End is meant, that whole project's meant for trail. And we did it from an economic standpoint of opening it to all the roadways. And they intended, that whole process is more intended for a township, and you're doing specific trailways. And because we did all the roads, I think it kind of keeps it open with respect to whatever the county does with their trail.
Any other questions for Mark?
Yes, I don't know if there's any
Move
hand.
move a little bit here. Anybody else for Mark? Okay, code enforcement, not here. Committee reports, municipal authority. Terry, anything from the MMA?
No, not this time.
Street foreman, Brian.
Before we start, I think you may have missed Kevin on the emergency management.
I sure did. My gosh, Kevin.
He was
Go
really
ahead.
upset.
Sorry, pal. I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you.
Two items. Right now, hazard mitigation. The county is working on our plan. It's open now for the public comment. So you go onto our website or Facebook, and any of the public can make a comment about the hazards in the back area. It's an ability for you to make a difference in your community. That's the one. The other one was the flood control. We inspect it every 2 years, or every year, sorry. But they switch out EPA 1 year and the Army Corps of Engineers the next. They require emergency operation plan. Our last one is in 2019. But it has to be done by, last one was Kevin Yoder.
2019.
Yeah.
I talked to Kevin about it.
Okay, yeah. So that there is.
He was here.
They need to work with me on that or any questions with that. That's all I got. We got through a ice storm, so.
Yeah, Kevin said that he has this plan already on the computer from 2019. So whether it'll have to be modified somewhat, but I would think most of it would be the same. Probably there'll be some changes required, but, so we'll get on that and be sure Kevin's aware. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, street foreman, Brian?
Couple things. I spoke to Leroy Cook this morning about the lighting out front. I cannot find bulbs for those lights, so I sent the picture to him. He's going to try to look for fluorescent bulbs that'll interchange with the ones that are out there now. And I was asking him, just out of curiosity, what it would cost to put a whole different light in the center where the light hangs down. That's busted. It doesn't work anymore. And I was thinking of something along the lines like down here at the daycare, like where they put the light by the steps. He gave me an estimate. He's guessing to do everything out there right around $400. I don't know if that's something you guys would want to do, if it's feasible, or if you want him to just try to put bulbs in what's out there. It's just a thought.
Well, I've had good success with Leroy in anything I've ever had him do, and he, I think, would be the one to take his advice, and if he could be a little bit more specific, and then come back to us in March, or if he feels something appropriate, if council would agree to $400 or $500, and he could have it fixed or repaired or replaced till our next meeting. I mean, what does everybody think?
He said if you agree to it tonight, he'll get you an actual amount. That's replacing the center light and the two lights on the side, putting fluorescents in those.
We can't change the light bulbs.
That's what he's doing, changing the bulbs, but the one in the middle is garbage.
So is he putting a new hardware in it to accept a different type of bulb?
He's going to try to find a bulb that matches what's in there now.
That's what I'm just wondering.
Fluorescent.
We can't put the bulbs in?
Well, I can't find them, so that's
So
what
if he
he's looking
finds them,
to.
we
So
can do
he's-
it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's looking, and then while he's doing it, he'll just do everything while he's there. Replace, if you want the light replaced in the center, the one that hangs down that's broke.
And what about all the street lights that have been out since November?
Well, we spoke to you about that, and he
He
said,
was going, maybe you could touch base with him. He was
I
going to
talked
get
to
us
him
an
today.
estimate, change all the lights over to something that the borough workers could change. Right now, you can't change these because there's a ballast
there's
and
a balance.
it's a complicated
And what
ordeal.
he would do is match Main with Center.
So,
Center Street already has the changeover, Main Street does not. He has a quote that he's working on, he just didn't get a chance to get it to us yet.
so you spoke to him about the quote
I did,
also. So,
yes.
okay, just tell him to
Yeah. we
get
talked
it
about
to us
all
as
that
quickly
today.
as he can. What else, Brian?
And the only other thing is I spoke to Blake Henry about the ramp in the back. They are going to repair it. It will definitely be done before Maple Festival. He just said once the weather starts to warm up, that they'll start working on it, and it will definitely be secure and solid before festival.
Any questions of Brian?
I'm back with the lights. I don't think we want to, these antique ones out here, I don't think we want to scrap them and put something else in.
You do or don't?
Don't.
We want, because it's original to the building,
Yeah.
so we want to try to save that as best we
You want
can.
me to see if he can just look at that center one?
Well, yeah, I don't see why you
Fix it?
couldn't put new sockets in it.
It's,
Regular light
yeah, I guess it could. I never really looked at the center of it, but the globe and everything, it's gone.
Yeah.
It fell down and broke years ago, so there is no globe on that one. I don't know if he can even find a globe for it.
I would say if he can't find, this is just me, if he can't find these bulbs, then just go ahead and try to get the lights that they're illuminated as quickly as possible, hopefully for the Maple Festival.
Okay.
And I just move forward on it, and if we want to, if it's under $500, the whole thing, maybe council would say, just go ahead and do it. And if you get into more than that, I guess you have to bring it back for approval.
I'll call him tomorrow, see what he can maybe do with the original one out there. The only thing, it's not gonna have cover.
You can find one that.
What about new LED lights in there?
Well, that's what he's going to
Right.
install, the LEDs.
Okay.
But
Then you have to change them. They last.
yeah, if that thing still works. And then the only other thing I got is the street sweeping for the festival. Do we still want to do that? Should I contact them and make a schedule of that?
Who would I talk, was that you? That's budgeted, so I would just call them. Yeah, Terry and I had spoken about it, and I don't think, did we bring it up at the committee meeting Thursday
Bring
night?
it up, but you said it was already budgeted.
It's budgeted, so just, I think, you just go ahead and call them and try to set it up before the Maple Festival. Right, folks?
They do a good job. I mean, they do a good job for us.
I have a couple little things. I'm a little concerned. So, the furnace, when it shuts down, how many times this winter has it just shut down?
Twice, that's it. I
Um,
already had Dora come in, they replaced the unit that made it shut down, and according to what they told me, when the weather gets super cold, believe it or not, the gas pressure going into that drops, and that causes it to shut down. That's on Columbia Gas's end. There's nothing Dora can do about that. It's just simply because of how cold it is. And I've never heard of that, but that's,
You probably use the service line size. That happens if they don't have a
Yes.
size for the blood pressure.
When we went down there last week or whenever that was, when we were trying to figure out this sewer smell that we had in the building, when we opened the door to the furnace room, I mean, Shane and I were shocked. It was 100 degrees in there. And when you have, right, and when you have a furnace like that, they need, like, when we have 6 units in a small maintenance room for a gas furnace, they have to have air intake. I mean, or it'll shut them down. I mean, you need fresh air to run a big furnace like that. And we need to make sure that door is kept open at all times.
just take the door off if it can't be, or block it somehow. That door should not be shut at all.
It was shut.
Are you aware of that, Jeff, that door to the furnace there should always be open?
Yeah, when I went down, it was shut when I went down. I just, kept it shut.
Yeah, because
Because
when
it was
you
always
open that
shut.
door, it's an oven. I mean,
It
Yeah.
was.
so maybe I can put something on the door as to keep it open.
It needs to be open. And then we found, I think Tom went down, the shower room. I mean, we gotta run water in those, and there's a special lubricant that you can put in to keep the seals moist when you're not using showers like that. And that, we need to put something down there so we don't have that sewer gas. And I don't know how often that needs done, or they're gonna have to be run on a regular basis, but you might wanna order enough of that liquid to put down to keep the gas from backing up.
Yeah, that just plug them.
Well, we did have them plugged at one point,
They-
and I mean, we can do that again if you want. That's not a problem. But we usually try to go down at least once a week and fill them with water, turn the showers on. When we come up to see Patty, JR goes down, turns the showers on, fills them up. If you want it plugged, that's not a problem. We can do it again.
It seems like.
Well, let's try to do what you're doing and rather than plugging them at this point.
No,
Would be my
I mean,
suggestion.
when I say plug
Just
them,
buy plugs and remove.
yeah, I was gonna say not permanent.
Right,
We-
just
we
put
could-
some- okay.
we could
Like a
cover-
rubber plug.
A
Yeah,
rubber
yeah,
plug.
like a cover.
This seems like a lot of aggravation from showers we don't use.
Anything else? Okay, anybody here from Mama?
Yeah.
Meyersdale
So we have
Merchants.
several things going. We have 3 new buyers in town, which is pretty exciting. We have the car wash on Main Street has been sold, an investor that really wants to improve that property, Matt. We have the Morgan Tool under new ownership. I was at an event there on Saturday. That's pretty exciting, all of his plans. And then obviously the ownership of the GI or of the Corner Cup has bought the GI as well. So the merchants and Renaissance are working together. We want to welcome those new owners that have invested in our town, make them feel welcome. And we've reached out to all of them and have gotten them some publicity. Because when we got this grant, I got a call from the Johnstown paper and the Daily American, and I encouraged them to also put the good news out there. So they're reaching out to the Morgan Tool and others to get some good press for Meyersdale. So like I said, we're going to have probably a ribbon cutting for them in the spring. So more to come on that, but Meyersdale's doing really well. Lots of new energy going into 2025.
Public Library?
They have Death by Chocolate this Friday night. So Amity Church, so come buy some chocolate. And they'll also have things at the library for sale, I think, on Friday and Saturday.
Community events?
Community events, we're kind of quiet now till Easter. However, when we did the wreaths and the trees in the hall, I'm getting a check from the student council at Meyersdale School for $135 that we made on that, which was really good since it was put together so fast, and we want to expand that next year. We're just not sure how. And that's all for now.
Thank you, Jenny.
Can I ask one question there? So Patty, you gave us the budget breakdown and it showed the balance as of 12/31 was $1,533.79. And then we were very fortunate, the 150th committee gave us $465. And it shows our balance is like $1,698.79. I didn't understand the math.
I don't have that here.
Okay.
Yeah, well, then you'll have to, I added it wrong or something there then.
Okay.
It was closer to 19.
Okay, moving along then, standing committees, police, public safety, the police coverage and the computers, that'll have to wait until Shane is here in March. Personnel, I believe that's all gonna have to wait until March. There's nothing new to report there. Finance committee, that's anything else, Terry, on that? Refuse, I would suggest maybe we put the refuse contract, that we review it and put that on the finance committee meeting for March. No?
If the council is okay with it, Hardball would like to tender a proposal for a renewal of the contract. So if council would agree to that tonight, you're not agreeing to the contract, just to accept a proposal for possible renewal. They will try to get that to us before the next committee meeting.
Ron makes a motion. Tom seconds it. All those in favor say aye. That's unanimous. Thank you. A great
Might
one.
have some purpose.
Anything under streets that we haven't already discussed?
I have one thing.
Sure.
We have the gas company closing down roads, and the bus company was trying to have kids go home with the streets closed. I don't know if the police know about it, the fire company and the ambulance. I think we should have some notification if they're gonna come close streets on us.
They're supposed to, unless it's an emergency, request to close those streets through Patty if they're borough streets.
I know they are getting it to the fire department, if we get the deadline. So they are at least notified.
You say they are notifying the fire department.
Yeah, because I get a text every morning that, that's closed.
You'd think that they would notify the bus as opposed to say we have
Yeah,
mass
we had
transit.
some angry parents up there.
I'm sure.
I mean, could we,
And bus drivers.
Shane works for the gas company. Could we ask Shane? I'll try to text him after the meeting that they notify stewards also, the buses. Oh, did he say he would?
He said they, yes, they were supposed to notify everybody.
But they didn't, but after you spoke with him, they're still not doing it?
I don't know.
Okay. Kevin, do they notify you with these streets closing?
Notify 911.
Would there be any way you could be the liaison and call Heidi or Connie out there at the bus company that they would know too, or call Tom?
I mean, if I get a text that says it's direct close, I can do that. That's not a problem. They should be contacting them directly. Because if they move it to another street or whatever, you know.
Yeah. We'll try to work on it, and I'll call Shane too and see.
They should be going through Patty. And that's the whole idea why we have that system. You should, they don't contact you, right?
Right, you're absolutely right, Mark.
I mean, either me or Brian can talk to Ron, he's the foreman on that job. We'll see if we can track him down tomorrow and have him set something up.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you, Terry. Anything else before we move on? The flood control, the flood mitigation award, we had discussed that. We're working on that. At this point, it's very preliminary. We haven't gotten any instructions except to set up an account to be able to sign the document. So have you heard anything, Patty?
I haven't heard anything.
Karen, anything since?
Do you have to
So
make a motion to accept that or not at this point? or-
You should just go ahead and do it now.
Karen makes a motion to accept the grant? No? Somebody else want to make the motion?
I feel bad because I applied for it, so I. think
Terry
somebody
makes the
else-
motion, and Ron seconded, and Ginny thirded it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We accepted it.
Thirded it.
Ginny did, yeah.
Check.
Okay, farmer's market, the only thing I would say there is, I think speaking for council, we're very, very pleased that there's a group that's undertaking this and going to move forward. There was a little bit of an email back and forth on the Mama page, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the people organizing the farmer's market where they want to have it. If they would want to have it up here in Center Square, I'm sure we would be happy to have that. But it seems to me like they've chosen, they want to have it down here at the Paul E. Fuller Park is what I'm understanding. So if you're involved in the farmer's market, we're thrilled to death, and any way the council can help you, just let us know. Any other comments on that? Okay.
Same thing there, if they're gonna close the street, like they've done in the past, maybe tell us ahead of time.
Okay. Well, I think if it's going to be down at the park or down at Paul Fuller, it won't matter.
But if
Unless
come
they
down
are in the Connie's space back there, that
again,
might be
yeah,
an
well,
issue.
Bring that up.
Huh.
Maybe-
Okay,
maybe we need
we'll
to
work
make
that
sure-
out. Let's keep on trucking here.
We do need to make sure people are notifying and requesting through Patty to close streets, because I mean, we make yard sales do it. We make little old ladies that are doing things do it, not picking on them, I'm just saying, it seems kind of wrong. And then we're not making, like, gas company do it.
So, with that being said, I don't want to take time up here. Should I maybe bring Ron up to see Patty, or should I take him to see Connie?
I'd take the vote.
Patty first, I would say, because then Patty can be the coordinator and she can notify Tom, or I would say that's the way we work it for street closers, right, Patty? You should know.
Yeah, usually for most street closures, like we're an event or something, you go through the PMCA.
They communicate with you first, then a PMCA, or
I do know that it's Broadway, Center, and High Street is where they're working. Oh, and Olina, that's right, I forgot about that.
We don't have the one call thing, so I don't know if the municipal authority can do something to notify people.
Oh, like an all call.
whatever it's called.
When they do the all-call.
Well, maybe I'll call Shane and,
When they do all-call.
like I said, he's not feeling well. He has the flu, but we'll mention and see if he can do anything with this group that's here working on
They're
the
very
streets.
nice if you talk to them. I had to talk to them.
Okay, some of these will pass through. Job descriptions, that's gonna be discussed in March. Social media policy, that's kind of, I'm half tempted to suggest we take that off. Do we really need that on there, or
Yeah, we should
take it off or keep
put
it
it
on?
on keep it on for the committee.
Okay, the emergency pet shelter, I actually at the last meeting slipped by this, it was my fault. We heard what Susan had to say. I would like to, first off, entertain any discussion, and then I would ask for a motion that we go ahead and put our name in the hat as far as registering for an emergency pet shelter, should that situation arrive.
Do you have a designated area?
I just said we could decide that right here. They don't want to put any in the gym, downstairs, but I know Susan had indicated they would like air conditioning if it's in the summer. I think this room, if you move the chairs out, they put coverings down, tarps or whatever, so we probably will never need it. She said there's not that many usually if we ever would be needed, but I know that they don't like to have them over the fire hall where there would be a lot of people maybe, or fire trucks, loud noises. And the same thing, I thought the schools were reserved for shelters for people. So, like I say, let's have a discussion. If council doesn't want to do it, that's fine. But I just think it would be a nice thing for us to do. So a discussion or a motion of something. Yes?
I think we should do it. I just don't want it on our new gym floor.
Okay, that's a motion, Karen.
Yep.
And Jenny, we'll give this to Jenny this time. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Tom thirded it. That's unanimous. The upstairs classroom, I don't know if we want to discuss this. We had discussed it somewhat at our committee meeting. What do we want to do with that, folks? Somebody say
I
something.
think you're at the point, I'll be the bad guy. You need to motivate them, or they're gonna be like a tenant that I tried to get out 6 years ago that I still have stuff from them, so, yeah.
I think we give them 30 days and Mark sends them a letter. We give them 30 days, and if they don't, they're gonna start paying rent.
Would you write the letter, Mark?
Mhm.
Okay, Karen, are you making that in the form of a motion? Is there a second?
We need a dollar amount.
$200 a month.
That's fine.
Is there a second? Jenny? Yes? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Is anybody opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Would you work on that?
Mhm.
Mark, try to get the letter out ASAP. Number 5, we'll do an executive session under new business. Any announcements? PEMA FEMA grants opportunities. I think, Karen, we've kind of discussed this. We had, Patty and I had received an email regarding a numerous amount of grants, but you seem to think that it was more for like damage from storms and things like that, that we wouldn't really be.
I think we got the grant, so I think that covers it.
So we can take that off the agenda. Replace light grids in the daycare center. We had discussed that. Can we try to get new light grids up in the daycare center? Put it on your list.
When you say light grids, do you mean the coverings, or do you mean the?
She's-
It just has the flat plastic,
Ah.
like these are the recessed lights. And it's painted and looks so pretty down there now. But they're, you know how they look after 50
Yeah,
years.
no, I get
I
you.
mean, they're brown, dirty, ugly.
The reason why I asked is, why wouldn't you just get the new fixture, the LED fixture? Because
That's probably
not a lot
smart.
of price difference between them.
And savings in bulbs over the time.
It's just a plastic
Oh.
thing that goes in
I
there,
get you.
that just sits in there.
Those things. Gotcha.
Holiday decoration grants. Karen, anything new on that?
Yes, I sent you all an email. There's 2 more options. And the pricing goes up the end of March, so homework between now and next meeting. Need to know. They're all, Brian, they're gonna be 34 inches or less. So we need to make a quick decision. If everybody could kind of say which ones they like what page number maybe even in this next week. Then we get it to Brian. He makes sure that they'll mount okay. They're not gonna hit a car or a pedestrian or whatever. Because we're gonna have to place the order next month, because depending on which one we choose, say they're $300, if it's $100 off, I mean, for every 3 we buy, it's kind of like get one free. Like, we should go ahead and pull the trigger. So if the next week you all have an email, take a peek and see what you like.
Okay, we did, go ahead, Kevin.
The old light foot, when they are taking down.
Okay, this is just me. I think those lights, the old ones, really look sharp this year. Jeff had refurbished them and everything, and they look really, really nice. I would not get rid of them at this point. So I would this is just me. If council disagrees, that's fine. But I would hold on to those, just till we see how these new lights are gonna work out. And, that's just me, but
And we don't have
somebody
money
disagree.
to replace them all this year anyway.
Yeah, it's one where we take down where we put them back where they were, that's fine.
Would you, is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, going down over the agenda, I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else?
ADA restroom.
Oh, go ahead,
So-
sorry.
So I did have a question about that. So in our packet, we had this thing from Steve, and Steve and I think, Tom, we copied you on that. So with the CDBG money, we could apply for money to make the restrooms ADA accessible. So the ADA part would be paid for. The rest of the renovation would not. But I wondered, this is due soon, this paper, this municipal needs survey, like real soon. Like, I think we need to send it in. I saw a date. There's a memo somewhere. How did you know the date? Oh, here it is. The survey has to be in April 4th, so we have a little bit of time. But I think we should send this in, and I was wondering, under type of project, it says please check, and it says removal of barriers for handicap accessibility. I think we ought to fill this in. I think we ought to get it back to the redevelopment office. The thing we're gonna need is a cost estimate. And then it asks, do we have money for engineering, blah, blah, blah. So is that something we want to engage Kevin on? He has the drawings for the building and things that we use to put the grant together for the community center renovation grant.
That's mainly the hardware, right? Commodes and sinks.
So you would take a
Dividers.
partition down, because usually in a commercial structure, you need a 5-foot turn radius. So we probably take down a stall, and then the toilet has to flush towards wherever their chair goes in, and blah, blah, blah. The sinks might pass because they're freestanding. I've never been in the men's room. I don't know what it looks like over there, but you get into some panels and but while you're in there, you probably
The sinks,
want to paint.
the sinks probably wouldn't pass
Okay,
because you need enough room in between size and height. I mean, just off the top of my head.
We'd still have to do the floor and the walls and ceiling. the
and
doors.
honestly, those toilets in there are like this high off the ground. We need all new toilets.
And I assume the doorway itself is wide enough. but I don't know.
It has to be 3.0. And it has to
So
probably.
you're
screw the
asking-
right way.
For permission just to go ahead and apply for this, is that what I'm understanding?
But we'll need some engineering. So our question is, are we willing to spend some money? Like, what is our priority? Is that our next priority, that we want to get some ADA accessibility in this building? I mean, I think
I
it should be
think
a
I would-
priority.
I think I would hold on this. There's always another one next year. I think we have our plate pretty full with the renovations that we are going to be doing with the COVID money. So, I mean, I'd say, before we get into too much money engineering, let's maybe decide what we're going to do here with this money and then move forward maybe in another year. But if you want to make a motion to get an engineer drawing, then that's fine.
think this building is so heavily used during the Maple Festival. I think it's a shame not to have some ADA accessibility.
Discussion.
There is an issue with ADA during Maple Festival, you know, even this ramp out here.
It's not good.
You know, it's not good. And, you know, it wouldn't be that expensive to do, for Kevin to do a report. It's not like you're doing a building or,
The report
anything
will
like
be different
that.
than the plan. I know that. The last time that we had numbers on that were probably, what, 6, 8 years ago?
Mhm.
And I think just the engineering and the application portion of it, I think was estimated to be around $30,000.
Are you serious?
No, the project itself was more. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it was fairly high. Yeah.
What do
Because
you think,
when you
Terry?
say ADA, just everybody keep in mind, you can't do and I know I'm on camera, but you can't do that stuff that people pull, that it has to be done, it has to be permitted, it has to be done properly. The ingress, egress, the flooring, everything has to match what's required. And I'll give you a prime example, and I know it's a public meeting, we're on camera, but this thing out back that we call a ramp, I've never understood, no matter what the story is, how that thing ever got approved, because it should have ramps both ways. I know with my health, and don't have, you know, that ramp sucks. And I would, if I had to either take a chair or a wheelchair or motorized thing, that would get old real quick. And you can't get around the door. You know, you have to keep that in mind. So it does get expensive, but it needs to be done right. Yeah, you just can't, you know.
Terry, I asked Terry what he thought, and then Mark interrupted. Go ahead, Terry.
I mean, at some point, it's gonna need to be done. I mean, could we talk to Kevin and see what, you know, when does this need to be applied for?
April.
I mean, maybe he could give us a ballpark figure to our committee meeting to see what would be
Yeah.
involved.
Sounds, let somebody make a motion
I'll make that motion.
to
To-
proceed, to talk to Kevin and proceed and get the drawing, whatever we need to apply for the grant, and Ron seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That's unanimous.
I'll send him a text.
Anything else? We have an executive session, so like I say, if there's nothing else, I'll call for a motion at 8:01, Patty, that we go into executive session. Is there a motion?
With me reaching out to Kevin and seeing what.
That was the motion?
Yep.
That was the motion. Okay. Ron at 8:01 and Ginny seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?